Well, good morning and a happy Wednesday Wellness or Wellness Wednesday. For the year 2026, we are focusing on your well-being, your wellness, self-checking, and knowing to connect with yourself. Our Wednesday Wellness has created space for self-caring. When we self-care, we are pouring into ourselves before we can pour out to others. And I don't mean that in a narcissism way. I mean that in a way that we must first connect with ourselves and understanding our very needs. What do you need today? As you check into yourself, are you about your well-being, your wellness, your even starting to get well, and your staying well? Vibetalkfacingthelion podcast and Healing Center always wants you to check into yourself. How do I mean that? We're going to talk about a few things, not just a mere hello, hi there, what's life been like? We're going to ask you a series of questions, and this podcast is checking into yourself. And I think it's important. The integral part of the Healing Center is to be able to do that. There's often times where I get up in the morning and I'm running. I'm running fast without breakfast or without being able to give myself quality time because I gotta be there, do this. But as I think about it, our wellness is based upon our emotional, mental, and physical well-being. How are you doing in this regard? And I really want to know the truth because I think the truth is important when we think about clarity when it comes to your well-being. And of course, everyone is going to have a different means of well-being. This morning, to be able to demonstrate that to you clearly, I got ready to be able to light my candle. There was a while that we did light our candles. We did that because it created an ambiance. Good morning, Trish.
Good morning.
And so as we created an ambience for ourselves, I got up. I've been doing a lot of skincare. And for darker skin, sometimes it's about just ashiness. I don't know about you, but I don't want to run around and having ashy, dry skin. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, it's just a matter of being able to rejuvenate yourself. And I'm going to give you an illustration because it's so fitting for today's program. Trish, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Trish, and I am the co-host of Vibetalkfacingthelion podcast.
And I am Nisi, and I am host of Facing the Lion podcast and Healing Center. Thank you for joining us. We have exactly, and I do mean that, exactly 10 questions that we want to ask of you. 10 questions. And we're going to do this by thinking about hearts. Thinking about hearts. Everybody knows how to draw a heart. Even if you don't, I would like you to try this wellness project. You don't have to, but I think you're going to have a lot of fun. Try cutting out hearts. And if you're really creative, try using different ways to make a heart. Create a heart. And I want you to think about these questions that I'm going to ask you today as we think about checking in. When we check into ourselves, we want really to be able to make sure that we're doing this. Uh, we want to do this to be able to check in, not for anybody else. Because I'm going to tell you, if you're doing things for other people, and I mean this again in a way that is healthy, not in a selfish way. And how do I mean this? There are 10 very questions that is going to tell you if you are really checking into yourself. Um, if you are just joining us, welcome. And this is an interactive podcast. And we're happy to have you. Hold on just 1 second. One moment, guys. So sorry, I thought I had this up. And I want you to be able to sit in a calm place. If you are sitting in a calm place, or if you've prepared your room the way that I have, with a candle lit, maybe some fresh scent, um, and bringing in daily flowers helps too. The first question that I want to talk about is this question. How are you feeling right now? I'm feeling calm. I'm feeling ready. I'm feeling aware. How about you, Trish? How are you feeling? And those of you who are joining us, you may answer uh, in the box below.
So right now I'm feeling warm and I feel relaxed as well because I have a cup of tea with me. So that's how I'm feeling right now.
I love it. That is the key to understanding yourself, by being able to address your current emotions, getting familiar with your emotions, because here's what happens with us. How many of you have found yourself when somebody asks you something and you say, I'm fine, but you're really not? Or, I'm good, but you're really not? We learn through our wellness programs, our workshops, to be able to say, name your feeling. Sometimes it's difficult for us to name our feelings for various reasons. But when we do that, we understand. Sometimes we don't feel like explaining to people what our emotion is, because if we were to say, I really had a bad day, naturally, for the caring people, we ask, why? What happened? Don't we ask that? We find ourselves doing that. And so therefore, when you name your emotions, if you feel it's a negative emotion, you may feel that nobody cares to listen, or you don't have time to explain, or they may not have enough time. And I want to do a precautionary. If you don't really mean it, don't ask a person, because we feel your energy. Energy is another part of our emotions and how we feel. You know, I walk in my candlelit room and it gives me a sense of security, comfort, versus if I were to have a cold room with no fragrance, no nothing, just a cold room. We would feel and know the difference because of its environment. So be careful when you're asking these questions, because the person of whom you're asking it to can feel you. Even more so can a person who yourself, as that person, asking yourself or doubting yourself in your feelings. Let your emotions be as they are without exploring, or excuse me, with exploring why. I always say there are factors in our connection to ourselves and understanding ourselves. Are you ready for them? What, why, where, and how. I'm feeling calm because I set my room up for calmness. I set my room up with what I want to talk about today and my personal wellness, and my environment is quiet and calm. So I just told you what, why, where, and how. Be connected to that. Be aware if you have answered those questions. Remember, your brain is marvelously created. So it's Wednesday Wellness. And you are learning to practice. We've been talking about Wednesday Wellness for what, 6 years now? 6 years. And what have you gained, Trish, if I can ask you, if it's okay to ask you, what have you gained from our talks of Wednesday Wellness or Wellness Wednesday? Personal.
So from Wednesday Wellness, I gained awareness in checking into myself, knowing what is wrong and what challenges I have. That's one thing. Also, I developed making making a checklist for me and checking into myself, and it could be little things. The little things that I do for myself matters. Like just sitting in the room and just watching TV, that matters. That's something that makes me well. Something that makes gives me joy is also part of my wellness, and so that's what I gained from Wednesday Wellness.
Thank you for that. And for those of you who have been with us, or if it's your first time, we want to hear from you by your either calling our 800 number or putting in the box when you hear it. We're excited to hear from you. What I've learned and taken away from Wednesday Wellness is awareness. Being able to say how I feel without adding to that guilt or shame because I feel this way. And not acting as if the feelings come from nowhere. And sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, we may think that our feelings are stemming from nowhere, because we'll say, because we don't understand, I don't know where it's coming from. But today I'm going to ask you to explore the thought and asking yourself the 4 questions. Do you remember what they were, Trish? What, where, when, and how. When you start doing that, you can feel in each space. And parents, this is good. Teachers, this is good with your students because they're facing a lot of peer pressure. And you want to ask them how they're doing on any given day. If they come in and they say, I had a really good day, don't just leave it at that. Why did you have a good day? What happened? When did that happen? Where did that happen? Because when you get into practice of doing that, you're making them conscious of their well-being. You're validating, you're helping them to be valuable or feel valued. And I do understand that those of you who have never been in practice of having those 4 questions answered, it's going to be an effort. But just remember what, where, when, and how. Those will carry you. Those will carry you throughout anything in your life. Going back to feelings, when we're able to acknowledge our feelings, when we can connect to our own feelings and knowing why we feel the way we do, we're able to understand other people. Would you say that people are hard to understand? Or they're easy to understand? Because we have so many personalities and thousands of people that we run across in a year's time. How do you know when a person is happy? How do you know when they're sad if you don't know them? Expressions can tell a lot, but yeah, the body language could be saying something way different. So I want to ask you another question. What is a self care action that you can take today? What is a self care action you can take today? What do you guys think it is? What is your self care action that you can take today, Trish?
A self-care action I can take today is giving myself some affirmations, because I am nervous about tomorrow because I go to work, so I can give myself some affirmations to make myself calm and aware that I got this, I can do this. So
Yeah,
that's something I can do.
I love that. And if you don't know what Trisha's talking about, Trisha's going to be in her first year of teaching. And we are asking if you'd like to donate to Trisha's school bag. We would sure appreciate that. Our GoFundMe or through our uh, Face the Lion. Is that Vibe Talk Face the Lion on our Cashapp? They
Yes.
go to directly Trish, and whatever you think that would help in her school bag, we will make sure that Trish gets that, and I'm sure Trish will appreciate it. And we're going to start with Trish. Trish, you're going to be just fine, and we know you can do this. So when we think about our actions today, like with me, I'm running all the time, literally. Like every day, I run to get things done. But I need to relax, calm down, and be in a safe space so that I don't have to feel like I'm needed everywhere. Because sometimes we can pour out so much to people that we forget to nourish ourselves. And I need to literally, not just emotionally, nourish myself or mentally, but even physically nourishing myself. Here's another one. And I'm going to make it a more personal. Is there anything that I need to do to forgive myself for, or to forgive others for? What would you say to that? I need to forgive myself for not expressing anger that I've had until I actually learned how to be a life coach and studied for counseling. I learned that I needed to forgive that part of myself because I was not wrong for feeling the anger for why I felt the anger. And that even if I'm angry, the anger does not, and I don't have to allow the anger to make me sick or to harm others. Everybody get that? What would you say to that question, you, the audience, and you, Trish?
I would say I would forgive myself for one, not speaking up for myself. and two, for dismissing my emotions. And I have learned from doing those two things, and it did not benefit me. It did not make me well. So I am working on that, and I forgive myself for not putting in the effort for me to change that mindset.
Yeah, yeah. You know, a lot of us walk around with not forgiving ourselves. Thank you for that, Trish. A lot of us walk around without forgiving ourselves. We have various things that we didn't forgive ourselves for. And there was an older person who has since passed away. There's a saying that she has. And I want you to try to remember the saying. When people know better, they do better. Have you found that true in your life? When people know better, they do better. Because maybe you're having a hard time forgiving yourself for something that you've done in the past, and now that you've grown and you've developed into a better person than you were yesterday, now you say, well, I know better than that. You're aware of your emotions, you're connected, you're learning to heal. Because if you don't forgive yourself for the things that are of the past, it is going to be very difficult for you to heal within yourself. You know, when someone asks of forgiveness, when they ask of forgiveness for us, we're ready to forgive. I mean, unless it's extreme, right? We're ready to forgive them. And you know what says that? Because we say, that's okay. We won't excuse ourselves. We punish ourselves because we just can't forgive ourselves. We are in the no forgiveness and all forgiveness to everyone else except you, as you point to yourself. Today I ask you to allow yourself forgiveness. Whatever it is, whatever you may be dealing with, whatever has burdened you to this point of today's Wednesday Wellness. And there are some pretty deep things that ones may be finding to forgive themselves. There are some pretty deep things. Would you guys not say? And I know you will, because wow, we are it's a lot. And I know you all would agree with me. So I would want you to work on thus forgiving yourself. And why is that? Because you know what? When you work on forgiving yourself, and I'm saying this for me as well, when I'm working on forgiving myself, I'm actually working on forgiving others. I used to think that was backwards. I used to think I had to forgive others, and it's true that we do need to forgive others. But if you haven't reached the point of forgiving yourself, how in the world are you going to forgive yourself? So pour that into yourself, and always pour that into yourself. It's so important that we learn to do this. Um, Hold on, just one moment. Hold on, just one moment. Hold on just a moment. I am so sorry, God. I keep. We need very much to be able to say to ourselves, self, I forgive you. Have you done that lately? Anybody? When was the last? Go ahead, Trish.
I was gonna say I did it just now, but it's not a regular for me because I am hard on myself, and I too thought it was backwards. Like if you forgive others, then you can forgive you, but it's not backwards. It's you have to learn to forgive yourself, and you forgive others. It's just like love, you know. So yeah, I
Yeah,
forgave myself just now.
I love that. Thank you. And it takes time. You know, people talk to me of all kind of things. They haven't forgiven themselves. It could be over the death of a child, the death of an unborn child, um, the breaking up in a relationship, the guilt and shame for this and that, and thus and so forth. But today I'm going to ask you to allow yourself forgiveness. Forgiveness. If you haven't done so, then today on Wednesday Wellness, it would be good for you to think about that. Here's something else. What are you grateful for today? I'm grateful for, unbeknownst to me, a financial loan that I didn't know that I was going to get, and I was approved for it, which has nothing to do with our business. Let's get that straight. But I needed to have a financial loan, and I got it. I was at my wit's end. I'm grateful for that because I really needed it. What are you all grateful for? Trish, what are you grateful for?
Well, I am grateful for everyone today in my town to finally go to work because the snow melted, the ice melted on the roads. We had a winter storm, so it was hard for things to be running in the town, but I'm so grateful for everybody to be able to go to work today. So that's what I'm grateful for.
Thank you. Remember when we used to have, um, what are you thankful for? Every morning in our earlier days of our podcast, Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast. Do
Yes.
you remember that? What did you take from that? Having to be thankful for something each day.
It gave me a reason to be more positive in the morning, and it also gave me insight on not complaining but understanding um me more, and that the things that I can control, so be grateful for the things that I do have versus what I don't have. So
Yeah,
that's what it did for me.
I love it. So, when all else fails or all else is challenging you, we look for the good in life. Identify those. You know, just to hear the birds singing or flapping their wings brings me joy. Because I think of our Creator, and I think of how powerful, I think of how powerful Jehovah God really is. And I think about, wow, He did that for the enjoyment of all of us. He didn't have to. but we enjoy that. So it makes me more aware to be able to say thank you. And if you are finding challenges in your life, if you are learning in your life right now to pour into yourself well-being, to be thankful, it's one of the greatest ways we can be. You know, it's just not something that should be a passerby, but something that indeed will help us in our lifetime. Um, I appreciate too that no matter what, even in the littlest thing, we can find such thankfulness. Are your needs being met? If they're not, can you ask yourself why or why not? When did you start feeling this way? What need of yours is not being met? And this is a good question because sometimes we get resentful. Sometimes we start to question ourselves when it comes to others not meeting up with the needs. But have you ever thought about it this way? Maybe the needs that you're having to be met coming from another person, maybe they don't have it inside of themselves. Maybe they can't pour that onto you because they're still learning. So how do we do it? Well, we think about our needs. We think about our needs being met in such a way that we start to ask ourselves those 4 questions. And we're making a heart today. We're going to turn those what's, where, when, and how into our own personal feelings. Because the heart is just not an emoji. It really represents energy and your feelings. So let's think about this. Maybe as a couple, you're feeling like my needs are not met. Maybe you're feeling like that. Or is it an adult child or a parent? Your needs are never met. But ask yourself, what is it that I need? Well, the list could go on, and you can include that on your heart today, the heart that you're making, what your needs are. And ask yourself, when was the last time that you required the need? I'm going to give you one. Everybody's going to be on a love fest because of Valentine's Day. Why is it that we can't love before February 14th or after February 14th? I like the saying, which is a movie that says, a lot like love. I want you to do an exercise today. We're going to do 2, actually. I want you to find a mirror. You can find it on your phone. If you're driving, don't do this yet. But I want you to be able to look at yourself. If you're by water, is the water clear enough for you to see a reflection of yourself? And as you look onto that mirror or into that mirror and you feed yourself this question, are your needs being met? I want to ask you two things. One is, do you love yourself enough not to neglect yourself? And do you look a lot like love? Because that's probably not something that we look a lot like, because we don't, when we face the mirror, we're not looking into our souls of our mirror. We're looking at surface. How do I look? Fixing our hair, our makeup, clothes, making sure we don't have anything out of place. But I ask you, as you are looking at yourself or the reflection of yourself, do you look a lot like love? What do I mean by that? Do you love yourself enough to take the time to be able to say, I am love. I want to be loved. I need love. I'm willing to give love. And I'm willing to do it not at the expense of other people's toxicity, but I'm able to give love because I love myself. That was deep. We're going to go on because we have a lot to cover today. Think about your best friend, or the someone that you really love, and the someone that you wouldn't dare say anything negative to. Think in the moment. Are you there, or is someone else there? See, that's easy for us to do because we love. We say we love. I love my children. I love my mom. I love my friends. And I really do. But when it comes to myself, do I ask myself the 4 questions? How, what, where, and when? What do I mean by that? How can I be kinder to myself? How can I speak positive things into myself? How can I speak the same way that I would to my dearest person, the first person who came into your mind? How come I can't speak that way to myself? And use the steps: how, what, where, and when. Because here's a fact. If you can't pour kindness into yourself, it is not a healing thought for you to think that you're pouring it out on others. You must be connected to yourself. And why do I say that? Because we all have different variations of love. Remember the thought when I had to look into the mirror and be able to say, do you look a lot like love? You might say, heck no, I don't love myself. Heck no. Maybe you're experiencing challenges about yourself. Maybe you don't like your shape. Maybe you don't like your hair. Maybe you don't like the shirt you have on. Maybe you haven't gotten up and brushed your teeth and you look a mess because you just got out of bed. In taking all of that, are you embracing yourself to be able to inspire life into yourself? I'm accepting all the challenges. That's loving yourself. Isn't it interesting that when people break up or relationships, I actually got to watch a film and the lady stayed with the man that had beat her. She literally had bruises all over her. Not only did he beat her, there was sexual assault. She stayed because she loved him. That's what we do. We project the way that others feel about us. That man may have made her feel as if she was not worthy of love. There was a reason she may have thought to herself why he wanted to injure her all the time. Sometimes we say, well, that's dumb. That's stupid. We start to judge. Why didn't you leave? See, even then we have to ask ourselves, why? Here's the positive side of the story, and that's a true story, is that she finally got free. When you start to embrace yourself and love yourself, guess what? You become freer. You don't have any burdens. How did you feel when I asked you, do you look a lot like love? Did you instantaneously say, no? Did you blame yourself? Did you hear the words of others? You're not worthy. You're not intelligent. You make mistakes. You don't do anything right. What were some of the words that went into your head or your heart of heart? Going back to the woman who the husband had beat constantly, she said one day she just decided no more. No more. She got out. She got out. She took her son and never looked back. And now she is able to do exactly what I'm doing right now. And that's life coaching. She goes to seminars. And I thought, good for her, because she can't teach that if it hasn't happened to her. And I say to her, thank you for sharing that. That was brave and courageous. So the next time that you're in a mirror, do you look a lot like love? Because if you don't, why expect others? I expect it from others if you're not looking like it. Here's something else. All of us have habits, thoughts, things we have to do, things that may be holding us back. But can you imagine if you had to let them go? What would that day be like for you? In asking a friend who always says they have a million things to do, What would life be like if you just said, today I'm going to have a free day? Would your sense of you, your well-being, your wellness, your being well, your staying well, would it heighten because you have a free day? Because most of you aren't having a free day because you have obligations. You have done this one thing, held on to things that really serve no purpose in your life. We're not talking about working, caring for families, doing the daily things we must get done. We're talking about the things in life that make us feel like we're bogged down, we're chained up. Are you chained up? Because if you are, that feeling is serving no purpose. So find a free day. My free day is usually Thursday. Usually. But today I changed it because I knew that I was coming into this program. Before we go on to our workshop today, I want to tell you something. Are you joyful? What brings you joy? First, what brings you joy?
What brings me joy is a sunny day, just a cup of coffee, and having some time to listen to some music. That brings me joy.
Love that. Kids bring me joy. I love kids. I love the laughter, the beautiful freedom that they have with no worries. They're resilient. You ever saw a child fall? They run over to mom or dad and they cry because they fell off the swing or they fell while running or something happened. That kid gets himself together or herself together and they go right back into what they were doing after we tell them, we understand, it's going to be okay. Why am I saying that? Because we have to remind ourselves constantly of the will to have that resilience, to get back our joy. They will go back to doing the exact same thing that caused them pain and challenges as if nothing ever happened. See, they're instinctively made that way. I've never saw a child that has fallen off of their bicycle or their skates, put those skates up for eternity. And if you don't believe me, I have 2 children who were injured. And as soon as they healed up, they went right back to it. Are we enjoying life that way? See, because it's all about our well-being. And if you ever have children, watch them. We can learn so much from them. Our podcast today is about our checking in. Check in with yourself. And then check in with others. I talked to you all about the candle. I talked to you all about the nourishment of myself physically. I actually went out Sunday and got some things to actually rejuvenate my physical body. Vaseline for dry skin, and I am promoting Vaseline because I love Vaseline. My elbows were really dry, and I realized that, but I wasn't taking the opportunity to not only get rid of the dryness, but to heal them. So I got some cocoa butter lotion, the real cocoa butter kind, and started to moisturize my physical body with that. And I got this stuff called, I'll tell you what it's called. It's called Tahitian Vanilla Body Butter. Boy, talking about softening, rejuvenating, even in the physical sense, do I do that? See, because in my life, I'm always running and running and running and running and running until I run myself out. But I want to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, to value myself is everything. Did you hear me? To value myself is everything. Taking the time to do that. Now, if you can hear this, can you hear me okay? You see this? This is water. What does water represent in your life? Because we use water quite a bit. What do you think, Trish?
For me, water represents in in my life the flow of things, the motion of things, movement. That's what it symbolizes for me.
Okay. How many of you think of water as cleansing? Tears are like water. As I get ready. Now, what I'm doing is I'm taking a rag and I'm putting it into some warm water. And I want you to be safe with your hot water, because mine is hot. And I want you to bring the excessive water out of your towel or your face towel. And I want you to just put it on your face for 15 seconds and kind of dab it around your face. You're going to cover your face. You're going to feel the warmth. And I want you to gently rub your face. And I want you to use water as a cleanser. Water is good for that. Some of us are bath people, shower people. I like baths. Don't know what you guys like. But I wanted you to do this exercise because this is going to be part of our workshop. And that water that you were listening to is a form of cleansing yourself. If you physically need to clean yourself, you need to cleanse yourself of anything negative in your mind, in your soul, in your body, which is your mind. And the cleansing of yourself means that you come prepared, you're ready. You know, we tell our kids how many times to clean themselves. How many times do we tell our children that? A lot. How many times has your parents told you to go and wash your face? How many of you really wanted to wash your face or take a bath? You know, kids are funny. They don't want to get clean. Some of them, while others, like my grandbaby, plays in the bathtub for hours. But here's the beautiful part of cleaning when it comes to your well-being. You're cleaning of yourself all of the negativity. I want to talk about something because we hit hard. Women, and I've talked to various women who have been sexually assaulted. The first thing that they say is they want to take a shower. They want to take a shower. Why do you suppose that is? Because they feel violated. They feel that the assault that was heaped upon them made them feel dirty. So the first thing they run to is the shower, even before they've done the rape kit. They've done that. I want to tell you women, and you men, and this is no joke, because it has happened to some men as well. Water is a form of healing. And it's a way that we can wash ourselves of discomfort. And I mean when we feel sweaty, when we're feeling overworked, stress. But really, the real healing comes from our being able to identify and connect. Is this an easy thing to do? We take showers, we take baths, we wash our face every day. There are women and men who are struggling with sexual assault. And that's the only thing they know how to do is when they're triggered to get in the shower and wash that shame off, the guilt, the embarrassment, the judgment. I want to tell you something, going beyond the bare necessity of using water and life. You can never wash that away. And here's why. Because it's hard to talk about. It'll always stay in your mind. And I wanted to talk about this today because we have a lot of listeners who listen and they're going through that. And they're being triggered because they think it washes away. Yes, we've learned that water makes us clean. But you know what doesn't? When we sweep it under the rug, we're still hurting. And I'm not saying today, don't take showers, don't take baths. Get the help that you need, but know that water is cleansing. And I want to go into the tears part of it because it's very important. We cry. Rape victims have cried, blaming themselves, feeling embarrassed, not telling anybody, people of sexual abuse. The tears are healthy because that's a form of water. If you've cried about such things or things that have pained you, please let that out. Don't hold back your tears. We hear a lot of people say, I held back my tears. Because if you don't, you're not giving yourself permission. You're still being burdened with, I don't look a lot like love. There have been people that have been victims of abuse of that nature, of sexual assault, sexual abuse, molestations, and they went on and they become better than they were before that happened to them. They've not let the mere stain of embarrassment, guilt, shame, blame trap them. They've broken free from it. And they are learning to accept that part of life, but they're not saying, I am the victim, I am the rape, I am the assault, I am the abuse, it's my fault. Through your tears, you are releasing what is wellness for you. I hope today's workshop will benefit anybody who's listening. And if you want to talk about it, we will talk about it. We can talk about it. Our number is 1-888-721-9260. You can get a hold of us before, after, and during the show. We are live. See our new poster for it, talking about Direct Connect. Your Wednesday Wellness, it's every Wednesday. You want to come in, you want to make an appointment. We'll show you how to rejuvenate yourself and to check into your wellness. I want to thank you, and we are going to be right back. Be right back. We're back, and now it's time for Trisha's Treasures.
So if I want to have a wellness day or a day for myself, a self-care day, I go out sometimes like 3 days before because I have to plan it. Because if I don't, I'm going to make something to fill in that day and I won't have a restful week. So I have to plan it ahead of time. So before then, I go out to the grocery store and I get something that I would like to have to basically resources to have my self-care day. And it can vary for things like a hair day. I usually get for my hair some gel, some grease, some conditioner, some shampoo, and some extra colorful um headbands because I'm a colorful girl. I love different colors in my hair. That's just me. I always liked it. And um I do that because I like it and it's just me. It's my style. That's how I like it. So 3 days prior, I'm getting things to take care of myself for in the next 3 days. So that's what I do for my self-care day, and I'm just wondering, do any of you prepare for a self-care day, whether it's a vacation for the week or something that you like to do for the day, a salon day, a spa day, those things, just a day to just travel and drive or drive around, listen to some nice music. Do any of you prepare for those days? Those relaxing, calming, and fulfilling days to just soak in the fact that, hey, it's my day off, or I'm just spending the day caring for myself, being me. And I ask that question because sometimes we forget to do that. And I really took in the workshop for today because it made me think about how some days I forget and some days I take for granted that we are blessed to have our water on and our lights on, and I don't take time to care for myself during those times. And it just made me realize, hey, you still have that. You got to be grateful and thankful and use it because it's something that helps you start your day. I have been starting, I think 2 months ago, I've been starting a routine where I put a warm, steamy towel on my face for a while and just let the heat and the steam soak into my skin. And it's so relaxing. It's very refreshing for me. And so I spend the morning doing that, and I've been practicing trying to do my hair at least 2 weeks because sometimes I forget to do it because it's so busy. I forget to do my hair. I have a lot of hair, guys, so it's kind of hard to do it sometimes. But the funny thing about that is I'm trying to get my hair longer. So I'm trying to um just take care of myself more this year, something that I've been trying to do. And I'm just wondering, how are you guys doing with that? How are you practicing taking care of yourselves? Are you preparing? Are you getting the resources to care for you? And I understand sometimes we don't have the resources, but are we using what's in front of us, what we do have? And I hope you guys take this podcast about checking in and think about how you can check into yourselves and think about I matter. I'm human and I deserve that day off. I deserve that break. That's all I have to say.
Thank you so much, Trish. You want more of Trish's treasures, you can go right to our YouTube by the same name, Vibe Facing the Lion podcast, and get what she's saying. Trish is going to be on her venture of teaching. We wish you well. She is going to be doing her bit of um, Trish's treasures. We want you always to support us. Here's what we want to say in a wrap up is that our Wednesday Wellness, it is a workshop um, in our wellness center. You want to come to it. Um, you want to know how to self-care. We're going to have beautiful things. We're going to have aroma therapy where you can have sensory for smelling and just getting in the vibe of things. It's at the Healing Center. And what does it cost? Everything is on donation basis. We For the first year, we were free to let everybody know we were there. We're still here. But as you know, and as you well know, we will not refuse your donations. You can come, and it's on a donation basis to be able to keep that center open. And our Wednesday workshop, Trish and I have spent endless amount of times figuring out what we were going to do, and it seems like that it keeps changing, but it has the same vibe. So Wednesday wellness is still going to be about getting well, being well, and staying well. We're going to have a lot of fun with it. So come on down to the Healing Center, invite your friends. It's open for men and women and anybody over the age of 18. You don't need a parent, but if you're under the age of 18, you will need to be accompanied by your parents. It's all on donation basis. Anyone who comes, we ask that you leave a donation of what you would consider for that. And for those of you who don't have money, that's okay too. But it's all on donation basis. We say this because we want the internet to get it right, get it well. Our number, 1-888-721-9260. You can discuss today's podcast at any time. We want to thank Trish. Thank you for our amazing sound. How many of you liked our new theme for Vibe Talk? Didn't Trish do a good job on that? I love it. It makes me want to dance and move. That too. You want to dance around your house? Do that. There's nothing wrong with that. I love it. In view of your healing, everyone must start from somewhere. Don't forget, you're making a heart and you're asking yourself questions like I asked today. Make it fun. Make it something that you want to reflect on. And for a bonus, if you want to send them, you can direct message us and share this podcast with someone that you love and not excluding yourself. Thanks, guys, for being here. We appreciate everything that you guys have done. I'm so grateful for Trish and so many ones that have helped me make this dream come true. We are ever so grateful for all of you around the world. Have a good day. I wish you well on Wellness Wednesday and beyond. Thank you.